Oh, Genshin, 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 Genshin. We definitely are gonna have to talk about Genshin because there's a lot of things that have happened and there's a whole bunch of stuff that have been going on. And before I even say anything on the matter, I have to make it clear because a lot of people misinterpret criticism for hate and legitimate issues as a non issue, but I do not hate the game. I do not hate the game, just so we're clear. There's just systems at work here that just aren't doing what they need to be doing. There's a lack of gratification, there's a lack of quality of life improvements, and a big sense of complacency and satisfaction with the bare minimum. So we're just gonna go ahead and
It's so nice to
this is one of
de-stress.
those. So Genshin is in a peculiar position right now. I saw Mtash's video and I completely, for the first time, because I watch his videos and I'm a fan. For the first time, I 100% agree with what Mtash has said about Woola, Wuthering Waves. Genshin did not at all develop in any way the way that I thought it was going to. It's not for me. Now, this isn't me quitting completely, but I definitely 100% need to take a step back because Genshin is not doing it anymore. To the way people defend the game and the excuses that are made, it's hard to justify it anymore. We don't get an end game, and the game has to cater only mostly to new players or returning players that never finished and reached where we're at because they don't want to induce anxiety in their player base. But they also have events that will disappear, and those events never return. The weapons never return. None of the limited characters, or rather, let me be specific, a few of the formerly limited characters are on the standard banner. I think there's a total of how many? There's barely any. So if we're not adding an end game specifically because they don't want to induce anxiety, why is there no skip button so that way people can do events quicker? Or that way people can catch up a whole lot quicker? In the same game where if you miss a character, someone sees an advertisement for the game. I saw one and it was about Eula. Eula, her last rerun, did not have a rerun for almost 3 years. It took 2 years for her to get a single rerun. And you are saying that casuals are okay with waiting for 2 years for a character to show up. A character. That doesn't seem right. I'm pretty sure that's anxiety inducing and it's going to incentivize people to pull, which is smart. The business side of that makes complete sense and I applaud them for that. But I don't get off where people go trying to defend them. I understand that people are completely okay with the way that Genshin is right now, but saying that casuals who are in a vacuum, who don't look at social media, they don't look at anything. They just come home after work and they play the game. I've said it, and then I thought about it. There was an episode of King of the Hill where Hank essentially had been paying sticker price for every single vehicle he had basically bought from one specific dealership. One dealership had a specific salesman who tricked him ever since he was, I believe, it was either he was in high school or when he was in college, and had him paying sticker price. And his wife, Peggy, tells him, well, nobody pays sticker price. Everybody knows that. But Hank in his vacuum had basically been getting scammed. Not one time until it was brought up to him did he realize that this is not okay. And I would like to believe that technically this also applies to said casuals who are in a vacuum and are just simply misinformed. As of recently, because a lot of people have been saying, oh man, Genshin is like great, and Genshin is great. I love it. But I've been playing some other games, and let's just say they do things a bit differently, and it makes me realize that Genshin, when you start off, it's really good. After that, it's a lot of wasted potential. There's no incentive to do co-op. There's no reason to do it. Co-op is the exact same that it has been since 1.0. Look at this. I'm just waiting. Nothing to do. What do I need co-op for? Co-op only makes that harder. What's that? It's to help out. It's to help out new players. Huh? There seems to still be that it's for new players, not existing players, not the end game people. I'm just not understanding. It has received no changes, no updates. We have no extra systems. Like, we have an adventurers guild. There's no guilds, there's no clans. It's single player. Okay, fine. It's single player focused. However, said single player does not have an end game. Once you hit a certain point, you have nothing to do. Don't get me wrong, I love exploration, especially with the way that Genshin does it, because Genshin is like Breath of the Wild, and before I got a Nintendo Switch, I couldn't even fucking play the game, so this is the closest I could get to it. After you fucking explore all of this place is fucking dead. You can only explore once. What happens when you've explored everything? Isn't that it? There's nothing to do. Once you hit AR-50, that is it. After you hit AR-50, my guy, that is it. You can explore, but all of this, look at this. I have hit every teleport point. I have every teleportation location. What am I gonna do? What do? You go back to doing combat because there's nothing else. And perhaps I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Once you explore the one time, you can't re-explore the area. Sure, don't get me wrong, running around is fun. Like, the way that they have exploration, especially with Shan Yun, like, doing this to like get around and stuff is cool. Like, I love being able to do that. Like, that stuff is good. I want to know, like, what else do I do after I explore besides combat? And now I'm asking for more combat, and people like me want more combat, and we want more interesting combat, and instead we got Invocation TCG, which is a card game. And that's where I come from whenever I say, you know what, Genshin probably is not for me. But I'm not the target audience for this. And the only thing that you do have to do is a whole bunch of quests that are, for all intents and purposes, just yapping, doing puzzles without any notes or anything, or people yapping their mouths off, which is fine. I don't have a problem with story. I have a problem when the stories are not interesting and I just want the rewards and I have no way of skipping it. So how is this a casual game when there is no way to skip? There's no dialogue box, no dialogue tracker. Honkai Star Rail has this. In every other gacha game that I've played, the ones that I've tried out, they have this. But Genshin, which is the number one like gacha game in the world that makes the most, does not do this. And I fear that it's due to complacency. There's a game that I played, Mabinagi Devcat. This is a Korean game. And I played that game for 9 years. And they failed me over and over. First, it was the duping problem. Then it was the Ducat duping problem. Then it was the bugs and the glitches. Then it was people killing NPCs. And then it was the lack of content. And then the lack of content extended over and over and over and over again. I'm stuck here leveling. What the fuck am I leveling for? I can already clear everything. There's nothing to do. I want something to do. I want to keep playing the game. Give me an in-game mode that does not give like rewards or something, just something to challenge like my characters. Like what the fuck are they here for? Where I absolute min-max a character because I fucking loved her, and then I make sure that she's absolutely perfect and that she gets everything that she needs and has perfect stats just about with everything I can do. Getting crit rate, crit damage on literally almost everything, or getting good HP percentages, and then I get fucking nothing. What is it for? There's nothing here. It's not me being mad at the game. I'm just frustrated. They've got so much potential, but where is it going? It's not going anywhere. You made millions of dollars. Where the fuck is all that money? It's not in Genshin. Co-op is the fucking same. It's the same shit. And everybody wants to play co-op, but co-op does not do anything. Co-op is meaningless. Now, with Wuthering Waves on the horizon, I will have to say, I don't care what anyone says, I am 100% interested and I will be invested in Wuthering Waves because Genshin has let me down. It's a great game and I love it. Dway does not care as much about Genshin as he does Honkai Impact 3rd. The man shed tears over the success of Honkai Impact 3rd very recently, but he won't even so much as smile genuinely at Genshin, and he doesn't even owe any of MiHoYo's success to Genshin. They haven't even thanked the community, even though Genshin is the number one gacha game that everyone knows about. Everyone knows about Genshin. And I understand that it's a marketing tactic. They're doing the bare minimum because they don't. Why do more when you don't have to? Because that's what good business simply is. I understand that they want to make money, and that's completely okay. But I'm not talking about the business side. I'm talking about the moral side. So if we take a game, completely different genre, but was in a similar situation, Warframe had no problem on patches giving away entire warframes for free. They had no problem doing it. They literally give away warframes because they are confident in their game and they know that people are going to play it, and they know that there's multiple things that people can do. When they saw that people were doing certain things, they make it a mechanic and they do it on purpose. It's not by accident. They saw that people were coptering with melee weapons, so they came up with the bullet jump. They saw people kept using vacuum on carrier, so they made it so at the very least all sentinels can use it, and then later on fetch was made, and now even the pets can do it. What I'm saying is, I don't think that they care. I'm okay with them not caring, but I would prefer for them to just say that and not be so ambiguous and leaving things up to grass, and just being silent all the time. They say some things, but they only do it whenever there's a big back, and they already are in the middle of something, because it turns out that they have not met their quarter, their customer resolution quota, where they have a whole bunch of stuff that was unresolved, and they had one of the lowest out of 175 different companies. And no, it was not only bugs and issues, it was genuine concerns about the state of the game and gameplay, from things like the Daya incident, to people not being satisfied with not getting specific things that should have been in the game, or genuine dissatisfaction, because even though they have these surveys that are done on patches, those surveys, I don't even think anybody looks at them, because anyone can tell you when Daya first released that she did not work right, and in fact she was nerfed more from when she was in beta. She was made actively worse. And a lot of people, even some casuals, asked for that to be fixed, and it was never addressed. In order to shut us up, what their move should have been, as a company that makes as much as they do, because at one point Genshin made more money than all of Sony. They made more money than all of Sony. One game made more than an entire company. And you mean to tell me that they can't think, oh, well, let's put out a public poll before we come into any decision? They make these crude decisions and they tell us what we want instead of asking us what we want. And casual players don't care either way. They're like Hank. They're operating in a vacuum and they just are simply misinformed, or they don't know. The ones that will know will not play the game, because they're not going to sit there and waste their time on something that is going to jinx them out of their money. If them making a lot of money is the only factor determining if the game is perfect, then why is Call of Duty memed on every year, despite the fact that it makes millions and millions of dollars every year? They say it's the iPhone of first-person shooters. People buy it regardless, even if it's the same thing every year. And it is. It's the same thing every year, but people buy it. But people meme on it too. But even Call of Duty was in the same situation that Wuthering Waves is in with Medal of Honor, where Medal of Honor refused to adapt or make any changes, the same way that Genshin is completely okay with where they are at. They don't need any updates to co-op. Co-op has not been changed. They don't add any end game like people are asking for. And I keep being told that it's the 1%, and I don't believe you. I'm sorry. I don't believe you. And even if it is such a low percentage, what is wrong with them just simply proving it? Prove it. I want you to prove it. Because making money is not always indicative of exactly what's going on. Because again, we have to keep in mind a lot of people are in a vacuum and they just don't know. If they did know, would they still do it? And the fact that some content creators don't even talk about it further incentivizes what I am saying. It further proves my point. They just don't know because no one's talking about it. And as of late, people are talking about it, but I think it's too late because Wuthering Waves, I certainly hope that it comes out soon, and I hope they do the right thing and they challenge Genshin, because at the end of the day, I do not want a Genshin killer. I don't care about a Genshin killer. I just want a good game where the developers are in communication with their community. I want a good game where they are just simply communicating, where they are talking to us, actively having a dialogue, trying to at least see what the issues that people are seeing are. Seeing all of the stuff that's wrong with Genshin and then having Star Rail come out and then do everything that Genshin wanted is just downright disrespectful for the game that's supposedly number one. That's why Honkai Star Rail beat it. It was beating out Genshin for months, and it only stopped once the patches died down, and it's gonna pick up again. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's coming out. How is it that Genshin in a couple years only has Invocation TCG and Spiral Abyss as alternatives to gameplay, and Honkai Star Rail started off with Simulated Universe and the Forgotten Hall with the Memory of Chaos, and then they added to it with more Memory of Chaos, and then they added to it more with Pure Fiction, and they're adding new worlds, the Simulated Universe, and then they added the Swarm disaster. They're just adding more and more, and Genshin has not changed. And yes, people are still getting it. But the problem is that can only go for so long. Because once Wuthering Waves comes out, there's a good chunk of people that will probably migrate over. And yes, even if, let's say, that it's maybe 3% of people leave. Yeah, I did the math right. So 1% of that amount of money that they made, if 1% moves over to Wuthering Waves, that is $94 million. So you're telling me that a good business decision is to not cater to that 1% and lose $94 million a year because you don't want to just add one more mode. I don't think that's a good business decision, and anyone who tells you it is lying to you. That's not very good. That's terrible. Even if 1% leaves, that is millions of dollars lost. All because they don't want to add one mode. And here's the thing, eventually every player that plays the game is going to end up where we're at, and they're going to do the same thing. It may take a long time depending on how much they play. If they don't really play very much and they only play like a couple hours a day, it'll take them a long time, and that probably will carry Genshin in the long run. But I would prefer a game that is at its core loyal and productive to its player base and is willing to listen to people versus something that doesn't care and will only cater to one side of their audience because money. Because that's ultimately where it comes down to. Everybody is the young Hank Hill who's paying sticker price for the car because no one cares. They're in their vacuum. They can do whatever, and that's okay. Because Genshin it's not where I thought it would be. It doesn't do anything that it's supposed to be doing. And I literally have tried a couple of other gacha games. Like, I've literally been looking, And some of these games are actually really good. They just aren't marketed correctly. Like Nikkei is marketed perfectly, and that's why they make almost as much as Genshin does. They make almost as much as Genshin does. In their first year, they did it super well, and they listen to their player base and they make changes whenever it's necessary. They made a character that was terrible into one of the best characters in the game in Red Hood. Red Hood is literally one of the better characters in the game because they buffed her. They buffed Zhongli. They nerfed Yaimiko and then rebuffed her back to where she was. Didn't they nerf Barbara a couple months ago? Where they nerfed her healing range? They had no problem doing that. But they can't buff some of these other characters like Dea. Dea needs a buff. I mean, now it's too late though, because I mean, I don't want, like I said, I don't want a Genshin killer. I don't really care about a Genshin killer. I just want a good game, and Wuthering Waves, it looks like a good game. They're willing to go back and they rewrote their entire story. They redesigned their characters and reapproached their systems. They're already showing dedication that Genshin never did. Because Genshin is set in its ways because money. Go and ask Dwayne. He's never smiled. I've literally seen him. And he's never had an actual genuine smile. Like you can tell, like with Final Fantasy 14, how Yoshi P reacts whenever people, are talking about how good, he saved their game. He has genuine happiness. Dwayne does not care about Genshin like that, even though it's number one. And that is a shame. It is a shame. Because they know for a fact that it is their biggest money maker, and they just don't care. It's a longer rant, and it's, I guess, more of the same what everyone else is saying, but I mean, that's it. There's nothing else to really say. I've done everything that I was supposed to, and I've gotten to the point nowadays, like, I will admit, even though I didn't really want to, I got Jean, and I was like, okay, this will be the last thing that I do. And I got her outfit. I got Jean's outfit because I've been wanting Jean for 3 years, and I literally got her, I shit you not, literally just yesterday. Where is she at here? Yeah, right here. I literally got her yesterday. It took 3 years for me to get one character that is a standard character because Genshin does not have a 5-star selector for its standard characters. It took 3 years. Because I played since October, back in 2020. I mean, I won't lie. I've taken breaks in between. And no, I'm not AR60. I have taken breaks because after a while, again, talking about Final Fantasy 14, I went to go play it. But I played it for a long time, and the only reason that I've been playing other games is because they're just in the middle of a content drought. And Yoshi P has said, well, I mean, if you're not happy, then, you can go and play something else and come back whenever we have our updates. And I'm not trying to misconstrue what he's saying. He's not actively telling people to unsub from their game because that's dumb. That doesn't make any sense. But he's saying that if you're not happy, he's not going to force you to play a game. Genshin forces you to play the game. It tells you that it doesn't, but they do. They want you to play the game all the time. That's why they have login rewards. They have an app that you have to log into separately from the game instead of just putting it in the game whenever you log in for login rewards. You have to go to Hoya Lab and you have to use that instead of just going into the game and simply just confirming, which is what the other gacha games I play do. Nikkei, you just log into the game. You simply log into the game and then you just hit a button, boom, check in for that day. Do your dailies, log off if you don't feel like playing. Genshin, you gotta go into the game and then you have to pull out a phone or go to the website on your PC and then go to Hoya Lab and then you have to go ahead and hit the confirmation on a completely separate site or an application and then go back into the game and then confirm it via in-game mail instead of just giving it to you because you were there. You already logged in. They're giving you extra steps to make sure that you stay in their game. I'm just calling it how I see it pretty much. And yes, there are games that I have personally stated before were good. However, the thing is that those games didn't make $70 billion. They didn't make $940 something million in like a year. They have so much funding and they waste it. I don't even know where is it going? Is it going to advertising? Because I mean, I keep getting ads for the game. I already play it. Keep seeing Genshin ads over and over and over again. And I see Honkai Star Rail ads as well, which, you know, some of those ads I do like, but some of them I kind of don't. Because there's one where they talk about speed racing and stuff, and it sounds like Persona. It's literally like a rip of Persona music, and I'm like, I don't understand why even have an advertisement like this. Case in point, Genshin is on notice, basically. This is pretty much the eviction notice. Because as soon as Wuthering Waves comes out, if Kuro Games commits and they let that game cook and they do what they're supposed to, that game is going to be great. And I will 100% cover it. I have no problem with going out of my way to do coverage for that game because the gameplay speaks for itself. The quality of life updates speaks for itself. And I don't even care if it's a Genshin killer, and I don't even care if it's popular. I care about it being fun, and it looks fun. Genshin is fun, but it doesn't want to give me any end game, so I don't have anything to do except for listen to people talk for 20 hours. Which sometimes is interesting, but not all the time do I want to do that. Sometimes if I'm not interested and it doesn't catch me, I want to skip. I want to have the option to skip. I can't skip anything, though. So it's not really a casual game when you think about it. I want everyone to sit there and think about that for a while. I know I'm rambling, but really don't think Genshin is for casuals. And I don't think it's for hardcore players, and it's not for mid-core players. It's specifically for new players and for people who unfortunately are ignorant and just unknowing. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a bad game, but it's a game that has no clear goal. I don't know what they're trying to do. If they're trying to tell a story, then they can focus on story. Go back on the combat, but then why have a complicated elemental reaction system? Why have a complicated elemental reaction system which they added to with 3.0 in order to help like certain characters like do more? And then still not give an end game. What am I gonna do with these characters? Like, what am I gonna do with characters that are level 90 with their best in slot like weapon? Like, I can't do anything with her. There's nothing to do. There is nothing that stands a chance. Even without the best in slot weapons, she still has decent stats. She literally has like 3,000 attack. And she scales off of it. I literally had her done in a week. I literally just got Jean yesterday, Look, I literally am. I've been working on her, and all I have to do is level this, get her to 90, and I said I was gonna 10, 10, 10. That's what I'm gonna. That's what I plan on doing. But then after that, then what? I won't have anything to do. I'll be back at square one. I mean, I'm just rambling at this point, but Genshin is on notice because it is one of the only it's one of the only gacha games that are on PlayStation, which is saying a lot because there's legit I think two or three
It's so nice to de-stress.
there's like two or three other ones that I can think of because there's Genshin, Honkai Star Rail, and there's obviously Tower of Fantasy, and I think there's one more. I think there's one more. I don't know for sure, but I haven't confirmed whether it is a gacha game or not. But Wuthering Waves will probably be what takes over for me, and that's all I have to say about it. I'm just ranting, but I felt like I needed to get that off because I feel like nobody is listening whenever I say that Genshin is not in a good position. It really isn't. Um, I will go ahead and probably try to make videos for Wuthering Waves or talking about Wuthering Waves while I go ahead and probably play Star Rail. Or hopefully, if I can figure out how to do it, I can go ahead and do things
There's
via
still a
my
lot left
phone.
to do.
So that way it'll go ahead and help out a lot. Until then, though, hopefully you have a good one. I do appreciate listening to my rant or whatever. But I'm gonna go ahead and I guess just end it here because I don't have anything else to say. I've gotten it all off my chest. Wake up, Ganyu. This is it. So yeah, you guys have a good one. Appreciate it.